I'm going to introduce you to the concept here of editorials as they appear in the newspaper, recognizing that that's kind of a higher level of experience that we're going to be getting into. It's something that is done by an editorial board for the most part. But let's understand where they come from and what makes them different than other forms of, and I put in quotes, opinion writing. So basically an editorial is the newspaper's opinion, and very often it's an editorial board that will make this determination. You often read them in the back of the front section of a newspaper. They are unsigned. In the dispatch you can find them in the back of the Nation and World section of the newspaper. Basically the editorial board will build this argument and they will try to persuade readers to think the same way because they want to influence public opinion. So an editorial board will write an editorial endorsing candidates or taking a stand against or for a specific issue in a community to promote some kind of critical thinking. These are often city-wide concepts, big topics that the board feels should be addressed. They have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion like everything else that we're writing, but the object is to explain the issue, especially when it's something that's really complex, very timely. So something happens the day before, they could be an editorial about it the next day or within a few days. Very strong in opinion and pretty reflective of what the issue is. They're often fairly staid reading because we're not supposed to get into personalities or have name calling, but we really want to make sure that the issue is well represented and that the reading public understands its significance to the community. Now there's four main types of editorials, and I've given you examples on our iTunes U course. They're going to explain or interpret a particular issue. They're going to criticize. I've given you the example here of Stephanie Gross, who was a school board member in Columbus, and she was actually unendorsed by the Democratic Party, and they tried to have her not be elected, basically re-elected, and the Dispatch took a very strong stance against that, which I've shown you in the iTunes U course, really calling out the union and calling out the Democratic Party. There wasn't any question as to who they were supporting in that case. I mean, I believe they came right out and said, vote for Stephanie Gross. So that's what the editorial can do, is take an opinion where editorial writing, conventional editorial writing, can't. They may try to persuade you to do something, and then there's praise. So I've given you examples of all four of those on our iTunes U course. This is some guidelines to write an editorial. We don't use I. We're trying to be as objective as we can be, but recognizing this does take a viewpoint. And we repeat key phrases, we look for realistic solutions, and really try to punch home a specific idea. That's what the goal is for these editorials.